Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm reviewing Elton John's fifth studio album, Honky Chateau, recorded in 1972. It followed on from Madman Across the Water and preceded Don't Shoot Me, I'm Only the Piano Player. It reached number 2 in the UK, number 1 in the US. Rolling Stone magazine have rated it as the 251st greatest album of all time. It was recorded at a French chateau, Honky Cat, you get it? This was kind of a music factory at the time. Bernie apparently was upstairs writing the lyrics. Elton was downstairs converting them into songs. And the whole thing was kind of produced in isolation there, away from the rest of the country and the rest of the people. Elton's in pretty serious mood on the cover there. Maybe slightly more serious than the mood of the music inside. Inside the cover there, quite attractive, all the musicians, all the lyrics, like to see that. And on the back there we've got some pictures of the key musicians and a track listing. The album was produced by Gus Dudgeon, and for the first time it brings together Dee, Nigel and Davey, providing that really cohesive vocal backing sound that perhaps you recognise most from a track like Rocket Man. So from there on, they had this really tight sound which they're able to complement Elton's lead vocals with. All Music gave this 5 stars. Rolling Stone gave it 5 stars, describing it as a rich, warm, satisfying album. All Music called it the most focused and accomplished set of songs Elton and Bernie ever wrote. As always, we take those comments with a pinch of salt. The superlatives are almost always rolled out for any Elton album. It's the best one he's ever done. It's the best one he's ever done. Let's put that to the test by looking at the individual tracks. The one comment I would make slightly, having listened to this a few times, is that it's a little bit short on lyrics, this album. Quite a few of the tunes use up all the lyrics very quickly and then kind of go back to the start. And I just thought with, Bernie was upstairs, Elton was downstairs. Maybe Elton could have shouted up there, "Come on, Bernie, give us another verse to this song." Anyway, we'll see how that develops as we go through the album. The opening track is Honky Cat, which was also a single. This is kind of a New Orleans funk track, with Elton backed by a 4-pieced horn section. This was more popular in the US than in the UK. And it's an odd mix of electric piano and saxophone. The track tells the story of Bernie's decision to leave Lincolnshire, which is an area of England, rural England, and head for the city. And it kind of picks up that theme also of Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, that idea of coming away from the countryside, the country life, if you like, country comfort, and taking risks and going into the city. Now, this song is a favourite of a lot of fans. It's a favourite as a live performance, or at least has been for quite a while. My feeling with this song is it's a little bit kind of frivolous. Does it involve us in the song, or is it just pleasant to listen to? What does it offer to the listener? Does it affect the listener in any way? And whilst I would say it's an accomplished song, a bit like Benny and the Jets in a way, I'm not sure I particularly want to hear it again. I particularly dislike the version of the song that's on this Here and There album, which has bizarrely got some duck quacking sounds on it, and I just think it makes fun of the whole thing. It's also been covered on the Restoration collection, which is very good, by the way, by Leanne Womack there. So it's a popular song. I do find that, it outstays its welcome a little bit. After 2 minutes, really, the song is done. We've had all the lyrics, we've had all the tune, and we get another 3 minutes of it. So I'm sorry, fans, I can hear you now reaching for the keyboards to comment on this one. I acknowledge it's a significant track and it's very well done. I would say, for me, it's fairly good. I'm going to mark this one 5 out of 10. Track number 2 is Mellow and takes up the story of Bernie's romance with Maxine. A little bit like Pinky on the Caribou album, which is a pleasant track. We've got a honky-tonk piano here. We've got an organ solo from Elton on the jazz organ there. We have a bluesy verse, a good vocal from Elton and a strong melody on the verse. The refrain for me is a little bit of a disappointment. There's a change of pace there. It's not quite as good as the verse for me. Interesting lyrics there. Heaven knows what you sent me, Lord, but God, this is a mellow time. So they're rejoicing in this special relationship. It's a pleasant track, but I find it a little bit over long. We run out of words fairly early on in this one. So again, a fairly good track. Nothing outstanding from me, but I would say another 5 on that one. Track number 3 is another bizarre song in a way. It's called I Think I'm Going to Kill Myself. It's a parody of a moody teenager thinking about suicide. Now, perhaps in hindsight, we would see this as rather bad taste. And indeed, all music described this as cynical and nasty. But again, we have to see it through the lens of this being 50 years ago, and perhaps people were thinking that this was okay to joke about this sort of subject. We've got some New Orleans style jazz in this. We've got lyrics that are about a serious subject but are given a light-hearted treatment with the music. Think back to a track, or think forward to a track like Grimsby, for instance, which again is a kind of frivolous tune with fairly serious words, or what could have been. We've got a honky-tonk piano. We've even got some real tap dancing going on there. This was a song that was used at the Royal Command performance when Elton performed before Her Majesty the Queen. The change of pace for the word blues I like. I think that works really well in there. And obviously the theme of the song is something that Elton picks up on Captain Fantastic with Someone Saved My Life Tonight. Much more superior song and a more serious treatment of this subject. But again, it's a fairly good track. And, this is a reasonable start to the album. And again, it's another 5 for me. Now we have a rocker for track 4. This is Susie brackets Drama, which was the B-side of Rocket Man. This is about an infatuation with a particular character called Susie, described as a pretty little black-eyed Susie by my side. Perhaps the theme of this could be compared with No Shoestrings on Louise from the Elton John album. But there's not really much to this at all. After 1 minute and 12 seconds, all the lyrics have been used up. So after that, it's repetition. It's a decidedly unmemorable track. Almost a skip-over track, actually, and perhaps a bit of an album filler. I think we're going to give this one a below average, and that's going to get a 3 from me. Now, closing the first side is Rocket Man. Obviously a single, reached number 2 in the UK, 6 in the US. Rated by Rolling Stone as the 149th greatest song of all time. This was apparently inspired partly by a Ray Bradbury short story called The Illustrated Man, but also Bernie seeing a shooting star from his window at night and imagining what life might be like up there in outer space. There's a great opening chord to this, isn't there? And Elton has created a memorable rock ballad, which to me is all about loneliness. So he manages to get this sort of deeper meaning of isolation into a ballad rock track. And he does it very effectively indeed. That glorious sparse beginning makes its way into a memorable verse and chorus. The acoustic guitar, then following on to this electric space sound, brilliantly evoked. Signature backing vocals here from that trio I mentioned earlier, and a really radical melody. If you think about how he sets the word timeless flight, I mean, who would have come up with that? Think about also Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, how that is written by Elton, what melody he creates for that. It's not easy to sing this. It's challenging, and you think, well, would that catch on? But in fact, it has. Now, there was one question mark I've got over this, just a slight complaint, is about one line of the lyrics. Now, there's no one there to raise them if you did. This is talking about his kids in space. That line is always slightly grated with me. I just don't think it's quite as good as the rest of the song. So if you're watching Bernie, you want to just have a little tweak with that line, I would welcome that. That's the only criticism I've got of what is a magnificent track. Now, I do want to mention a new video version of this. An organisation called Blink Inc. had a competition for a reinterpretation of this song, and there's an absolutely fantastic video and animation been created which tells the story of this song against the idea of refugees leaving their home and seeking a place of peace, really, and refuge away from their home. Just picking up on that isolation theme, being separated from your loved ones, and it's really brilliant. And Elton and Bernie endorse this video, so please find that. I'll try and put a link below. So this is obviously a brilliant piece of music. Nobody could argue, well, some people could argue with that maybe, but I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. And this is one we can still listen to, and I never really get bored with hearing this one. That closes side one. We've got 3 5s, a 3 and a 9, giving us 27 marks for the first side of this album. Side 2 opens with a track called Salvation, a sort of white gospel number about the search for the meaning of life, possibly. It's got a beautiful, in fact, a wonderful verse. Elton on really good form with the vocals there. We're looking for a light ahead. In the distance a candle burns. Fairly general sort of lyric in a way, but you can apply it to a lot of different situations. The refrain just about matches the verse. You've really got a good sing-along refrain as well. The whole thing is a classy cut here, and I'm going to give this one a very good rating and say 7 out of 10. Track number 7 is called Slave, and this is about slavery in the south of America and the Civil War to eradicate slavery. So it shows Bernie's interest in the history of the United States. There's kind of a country, almost bluegrass feel to this one, and this slightly strange repeating of the end of each line, which is quite distinctive for this track. And it's nice to hear Elton singing the refrain on his own without backing singers. That's quite effective as well. He gives a clear and confident vocal, although I would say that, again, the lyrics just run out a little bit early on this song as well. So quite a decent cut, this one. I'm going to rate it as a good track and give this one 6 out of 10. Track number 8 is Amy, about a teenager pining for an older woman. This seems to get him into trouble with the father and local roughnecks. Sounds a bit like a Rolling Stones song, don't you think? There's a slightly mysterious vocal on this. Interesting harmonies. Elton singing in that sort of Americana voice he has. The singing of the word Amy is particularly powerful. The whole thing is musically quite interesting, including the electric violin contributions from Jean-Luc Ponty. So there's a lot going on in this mix. Maybe not quite as classy as a track like Salvation, but it's still a pleasant listen, this one. I'm going to rate it as fairly good and give this one 5 out of 10. I know I'll be in trouble with some of you because some of you have already said that's one of your favourite tracks on the album. Track number 9 is Mona Lisa's and Mad Hatter's. Now, apparently Bernie was staying in New York City for the first time. He heard a gun go off outside his hotel window, and he kind of concluded that maybe New York City can be a dangerous place as well as a wonderful, inspiring place to visit. So he came up with this song, which was also inspired by Benny King's Spanish Harlem. There is a rose in Spanish Harlem. But Bernie writes, I know that rose trees never grow in New York City. Now, who are these Mona Lisas and Mad Hatters? Well, what do we know about the Mona Lisa? Well, we know it's a painting of a woman with a kind of mysterious, sort of almost blank stare, who's not really noticing what's going on around her. So maybe these are people in New York who kind of see nothing that's going on. They don't notice what's happening around them. They have no feelings. And the Mad Hatters are the party animals who are going out all night and are coming home with the dawn. Maybe they're the rich who don't care about the poor of the city. So there's an awful lot going on there, and this is one of Bernie's cleverest lyrics. Well, what does Elton do with it? Well, he gives it an absolutely sublime setting. He gives it a great vocal. It's a sublime combination of clever lyrics, perfect setting, and performance, and we've got this sort of juxtaposition of despair and optimism over life in the city. It kind of reveals a desire to be alone. Elton has said himself that this is one of his all-time favourite tracks. I only wish he performed this live more. and I certainly had this one in my closing set for my kind of fantasy dream final concert. There's some good mandolin from David Johnson on this one. And of course, we see a sequel of this on Red Strikes Back, completely different sort of song, but picking up on some of the themes in the first one. It's been covered twice, once on a revamp by The Killers, and once on restoration by Maren Morris. What a brilliant piece of music this is. Elton at his very best. And when he's at his very best, it's usually because he's got some fantastic lyrics as well. So we're going to give this one a brilliant 9 out of 10. So the album closes with Hercules, which of course was to become Elton's sort of middle name as well. Now Hercules is a kind of muscle boy, and he's described as somebody who is going out with the writer's girlfriend, has kind of taken his place, if you like. So the song's about jealousy. A man watches a dream woman walk away with this new Hercules character. So what do we get to? We get some acoustic guitar there. We get some doo-wop vocals, which seem strangely out of place on this track. The lyric is not one of Bernie's greatest, I don't think. Some men like the Chinese life, some men kneel and pray. The vocals are way back in the mix as well. The whole thing isn't really that cohesive for me. So slightly disappointing end to the album there. I would say it's an average track and give this one 4 out of 10. Now, just to complete this one, I'm not counting this in my calculation, but there's another version of Slave added in as a bonus track. This is also on Elton's Rare Masters double CD. It's a fast version of Slave, but because it's so fast, it kind of loses the whole impact of the song and of the lyrics. And I'm really thinking, well, what's the point of this? What's the point of this first version? Not totally sure which version came first. You might know that, but I'm just going to give that fast version an average of 4, which is less than my rating for the original song. So for side 2, we've got 7, 6, 5, 9 and 4, a total of 31 marks. That gives us 58 marks overall for the 10 tracks, an average of 5.8 per track. Let's see how that compares with the other songs and albums I. So if we look at the top of my listings now, we're up to about 300 tracks overall now. And as you can see, 2 new entries in there, Rocket Man and Mona Lisa's and Mad Hatters, both getting a brilliant 9 out of 10. And I haven't actually rated the 9s in order there. They're just in the order I've come to them. So those 2 may well go even higher than those positions. So here's the bottom of the league there, Breaking Hearts in 300th place. The only contribution we've got from this album is the track Susie brackets Dramas, which I gave 3 out of 10 to. And that's currently coming in at number 277. Now let's have a look at my album ratings. And as you can see, Honky Chateau there coming in at number 8, just below The Captain and the Kid. Now, you may be a little bit surprised by that because it was a golden time, but I would say of those 70s albums, it's probably not as strong as Goodbye Yellow Brick, Tumbleweed, Don't Shoot Me, Madman, or the Elton John album. Perhaps the surprise to him there are Single Man and Captain and the Kid. But I think it's a reasonably fair position for that. It maybe could have gone up maybe slightly to 7 or 6, but that's about right. And finally, let me just show you this graphic. These are the years the albums came out in chronological order and the average mark per track. And we can see here, again, this really strong period here. This is Honky Chateau coming in there, 1972. Things just falling down a little bit there and getting a bit inconsistent. That's Victim of Love. But then building up quite well. I've still got several to put in from the 1980s. So let me know your thoughts on Honky Chateau. I know there's a lot of fans out there. I'm guessing you're going to disagree with some of my ratings on side 1. I think that's where the heat's going to come. But you know, persuade me if you like that you think some of those songs need slightly higher marks. All polite comments are welcome, of course. And I'm going to be back with another review soon. Subscribe if you want to, and don't forget, we're still standing.